I haven't done a video on the minimum wage yet, so I think it's about time I do one. On the clip I'm going to show you today, this lady, Barbara Lee, she's a candidate for the United States Senate. That is important. This is not just some random lady that a news organization found on the street talking about some local issue. She is going to be addressing the idea of the minimum wage. And this is not a joke. What she is going to suggest is real. There's this idea that the government can just pass legislation in order to solve every problem we face in society. Also, people don't have enough money. Well, just force businesses to pay them more money. Just raise the minimum wage. It wasn't too long ago that we were talking about raising the minimum wage in different states to $15 an hour. So under Biden, inflation is through the roof. The central bank and the government, they're just printing off more money. Why not just legislate a law in order to force companies to pay people more money, higher minimum wage? What about $20, $25 an hour? And you're going to see what this lady is going to suggest in this video. And she's not alone because there are many others who think like her. So let me just play the clip for you and then I'll share a little bit more after.
You're calling for a $50 an hour federal minimum wage. That's 7 times the current national minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Can you explain how that would be economically sustainable for small businesses? You have 60 seconds.
First, let me say I owned and ran a small business for 11 years. I created hundreds of jobs, benefits, retirement benefits, also health care benefits. I know what worker productivity means, and that means that you have to make sure that your employees are taken care of and have a living wage. In the Bay Area, I believe it was the United Way, came out with a report that very recently, $127,000 for a family of 4 is just barely enough to get by. Another survey very recently, $104,000 for a family of 1, barely enough to get by. Low income because of the affordability crisis. And so just do the math. Just do the math. Of course, we have national minimum wages that we need to raise to a living wage. You're talking about $20, $25, fine. But I have got to be focused on what California needs and what the affordability factor is when we calculate this wage.
Again, this is not a joke. So we start off by hearing that she wants this to be the federal minimum wage. So she's talking about $20, $25 an hour. She wants the federal minimum wage to be $50 an hour. This is crazy. So in Iowa, Wyoming, South and North Dakota, you want $50 minimum wage. This is not sustainable. I'll tell you what's going to happen if this loony bin idea ever got through. Immediately you would see businesses fold. The stock market would crash, the economy would crumble, and then businesses would try to have to figure out what to do. They would have to solve the problem that the government had caused by thinking that they were geniuses and just passing $50 minimum wage. I mean, why stop there? Why 50? Why not 100? You give people even more money that way. And they would essentially automate everything. So literally, you would probably wipe out 80 or 90% of the jobs. I mean, of course, you can still pay people more than $50 an hour, but those are going to be your very specialized positions. Everything else, or at least as much as possible under $50 an hour, would be completely automated. So you would probably have unemployment rates at 50, 60, 70% if you were able to pass such an absolutely insane idea as this. And remember, this lady is not alone because there is this disease called liberalism that is rattling around the minds of individuals. And again, its first and second cousin is socialism and communism. This idea that the government can legislate these solutions for the people, that if the government just steps in and tells everyone what to do, that will solve everything. The reason we're in the problems we're in right now is because of the government. The government is the one that is causing the inflation through the central bank and government spending. This is what causes inflation. It's not businesses that did this, okay? Not even the supply chains did this or the pandemic, whatever they want to blame on this. It's because they're artificially influencing an additional amount of money into our economy that should not be there in an amount that is so ridiculously high. Since Joe Biden's been president, I think it's something like 17 to 18% inflation since the day that he became the president of the United States. So they're talking about inflation's been going down, right? This year it's going down. I mean, what does that mean? Going down from the 9% numbers that he was having last year, but it's 17 to 18% in totality of his presidency. This is insane, but people already said this was going to happen based off of the government spending. So our leaders like this lady, or at least she wants to be a leader. She's definitely not going to be a leader after this, because there's enough independents and conservatives out there, and maybe some people who are Democrats who still have marbles rolling up there, who realize that this is crazy. This lady's not going to get in, but it's only a matter of time until they start pushing 20, 25, 30, $35 minimum wage. Minimum wage was always supposed to just be that. Minimum, the start off. When you're 16, 17, 18, that's when you're supposed to get minimum wage. When you're flipping burgers and you're frying French fries, that's when you're supposed to get minimum wage. You're not supposed to be getting a minimum wage after you have your occupation, or you've been in a job for a while, or if you worked your way up, or you've studied, or you dedicated yourself to a trade or something like that. If you've been in a position for 10, 15, 20 years and you're still making minimum wage, there's something wrong. The minimum wage has never been designed to be some sort of wage that, hey, I'm going to be able to buy a home and a car on and have property. And that's just never been what it is. If you make the minimum wage and that's where you're going to stay at, then you're going to have to live with other people. You're going to have to split rent. That's just how it is. And some people, that's what they want to do. This lady's idea, $50 an hour, federal minimum wage established across the country. Talk about an excellent way to crash the United States of America. This lady has no clue what she's talking about. It's completely unsustainable. It is unrealistic. It can never happen. I just love this answer. And at least, you know what? She's saying what she thinks. And maybe that's better than some people out there who are so slimy, they just lie, even though they probably think the same thing, but they don't say it. But then they get into Congress, Senate, House, and then they try to pass crazy things like this. What do you think about this? Leave your comments below. Catch you on the next video.